Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of our historical explainer. We're diving straight back into our analysis of the Waqia-e-Karbala, one of the absolute most pivotal events in Islamic history. Now, if you remember from our last session, we left off just as Imam Hussein's caravan finally arrived at their destination. Today, we're going to unpack exactly what unfolded over the following days. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's pick up the timeline exactly where we left off. It's the 2nd of Muharram, in the year 61 Hijri. Our focus today is going to cover the sequence of events over the next 8 crucial days. And I say crucial because this is a time frame where the reality on the ground shifted so drastically and so incredibly fast. Getting this chronology right is absolutely key to understanding how the tension built to its breaking point. So, Section 1, the 2nd to the 7th of Muharram, the siege begins. Right after they arrived on the 2nd of Muharram, Imam Hussain had his companions set up camp. Now, geographically, this is really important. The tents were pitched right near the banks of the Euphrates River, also known as Darya-e-Furat. At this initial stage, they had completely open access to this vital water source. Keep that detail in the back of your mind because it becomes a massive factor very soon. Because, as you might guess, that calm didn't last. Just a few days later, a massive army arrives. We're talking 4,000 soldiers, led by Umar bin Saad, acting on direct orders from Ibn Ziyad, and they brought an absolute ultimatum: pledge allegiance to Yazid or face battle. Imam Hussain simply asked for one night's respite to deliberate. What's really striking here is how quickly everything escalated into a full-blown siege. The real turning point hits on the 7th of Muharram. Ibn Ziyad issues a ruthless decree, completely cut off all water to Imam Hussain and his camp. They actually placed guards all along the Euphrates, completely blocking the caravan from the very river they were camped right next to. Imagine the reality of this. For 3 continuous days, the entire camp had absolutely zero water. And remember, this wasn't just a camp of soldiers. The caravan was full of women, children, and even a 6-month-old infant, Ali Asghar. They all endured severe, agonizing thirst. It's a harsh historical fact, but it really highlights the absolute severity of the conditions forced upon them. Moving to Section 2, Shab.E.Ashoor, the night of Ashura, the 9th of Muharram. On the eve of the battle, there's this profound psychological moment that unfolds. Imam Hussain gathers his 72 devoted companions. He lights a lamp and he tells them very plainly that the enemy is only after his life. He formally releases them from their allegiance, telling them they're completely free to leave in the dark and save themselves. Then, he literally extinguishes the lamp. He did this deliberately so that anyone who wanted to slip away wouldn't feel the shame or embarrassment of being seen by the others. But when that lamp is relit, not a single person had left. Nobody moved. Hazrat Abbas Alamdar actually speaks up with this incredibly powerful declaration, saying that even if they were killed 1,000 times over, they would never abandon their leader. It is just a brilliant illustration of their absolute, unwavering loyalty. So knowing an unwinnable battle is waiting for them at dawn, how do they spend their final hours? They didn't spend it agonizing over military strategy. Actually, they completely stepped away from the battlefield mindset. The entire night was dedicated purely to spiritual reflection, worship, reciting the Quran, and offering prayers. Which brings us to the climax in Section 3, the 10th of Muharram, the day of Ashura. As dawn breaks, the lines are drawn, and the contrast is just staggering. You have 72 severely dehydrated, exhausted companions, standing opposite a heavily armed, well-supplied military force of thousands. As the battle kicks off, these loyal companions step onto the battlefield one by one, fighting fiercely against impossible odds until they were martyred. Once the companions fell, it was time for the members of Imam Hussein's own family, the Ahl Bayt, to step forward. It's a truly heartbreaking sequence. First goes his 18-year-old son Ali Akbar, then the 13-year-old Qasim, followed by Hazrat Abbas Alamdar, then the infant Ali Asghar, and finally Imam Hussain himself. The specific details of Hazrat Abbas Alamdar's sacrifice are incredible. Desperate to get water for the crying children, he actually fights his way to the Euphrates and fills the water skin. But despite suffering from 3 days of severe thirst himself, he absolutely refuses to drink a single drop while his camp is still thirsty. Tragically, on his way back, he's surrounded, loses both of his arms, and is martyred before he can ever deliver the water. And the tragedy deepens. Imam Hussain steps forward carrying his 6-month-old son, Ali Asghar. He pleads with the opposing army, asking for just a single drop of water for this dying infant. And the response, it wasn't water. It was an arrow, which instantly martyred the young child right there in his father's arms. By the afternoon, Imam Hussain is literally the only one left standing. Stepping onto the battlefield completely alone, he fights with incredible bravery despite unimaginable exhaustion and countless wounds. Ultimately, he falls, and the final blow of his martyrdom was struck while he was in the state of sajda, in a state of absolute prostration and submission to God. Let's transition to Section 4, Sham.E.Ghareeban, and the lasting message of this event. When the dust finally settles on the 10th of Muharram, the aftermath is intensely somber. This specific evening is known historically as Sham.E.Ghareeban, which translates to the Night of the Strangers, or the Forsaken. The enemy forces actually set fire to the camp's tents. Amidst all this chaos and grief, Bibi Zainab steps up, gathering and fiercely protecting the newly orphaned children and the remaining women out under the open sky. Now, from a purely military standpoint, one side was completely wiped out. But looking back at the full context of this event, history leaves us with a truly provocative question. Is Karbala the story of a defeat, or is it the ultimate symbol of sacrifice? Think about it. Imam Hussain literally gave up everything, his companions, his family, his own life. But he didn't do it for territory or for power. He did it to keep the core principles of his faith alive. His stance became this eternal, global symbol of standing up for truth against overwhelming odds. And that brings our historical explainer of Waqia-e-Karbala to a close. If you found this breakdown insightful and want to keep exploring history with us, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring.